What's up, guys? The Philadelphia 76ers have landed the number 3 pick in the 2025 NBA draft. So today we're going to take a look at some of the best prospects available, and I'll give you my prediction on who I think they might draft and who I think they should draft. So let's get started by looking at their current contracts. So they do have a couple guys who are expiring this summer: Quentin Grimes, Yabusele, and Kyle Lowry. Not sure if we'll see any of those three return. There are player options for Oubre, Drummond, and Gordon, but for the most part, this roster will be intact next year, looking pretty similar to how it looked this previous year. So next, let's go ahead and take a look at Philly's biggest needs. So in my opinion, I think their two biggest needs are depth and athleticism. So let's go ahead and get into depth. Check out these missed games from last year. Joel Embiid, we all know this is a normal thing, but he missed 63 games. Jared McCain obviously had the injury pretty early into his rookie year, which was going pretty well before he got hurt, missed 59. Paul George did his normal thing, missed 41 games, and Tyrese Maxey unfortunately missed 30 as well. So when we look at that and see, okay, their top 4 players missed a substantial amount of games, pretty understandable why the Philly season went as terrible as it did, but it's definitely something that needs to be addressed. When we looked at those contracts there's not a lot of guys on this team coming off the bench that are very exciting or that really add that much value. We all know Kelly Oubre is a pretty mediocre player, and Andre Drummond, Eric Gordon, I mean, come on, what are we supposed to get out of those guys? So up next, let's look at the athleticism need. I thought these stats were pretty interesting. So this season, Philadelphia was 22nd out of 30 teams in the league in total dunks. They only had 2 players on the entire roster that had 50-plus dunks the entire season, and their leading dunker was Adem Bona, which is not great. Then we look at their percentages at the rim. 23rd in the league from 0 to 3 feet, 23rd in the league from 3 to 10 feet. So this team just had nothing in the paint. And obviously this is an offense that builds everything around Joel Embiid, so with him being out, it's understandable that there would have been a dip. But 23rd in the league in both of those categories, I mean, that's pretty bad. So I think that that's something that needs to be addressed. They need to get some guys who can get downhill, put some pressure on the rim, and finish in the paint. So now, let's look at the 3 top options. Who do we think that they're going to pick? Well, obviously Ace Bailey is going to be a guy that a lot of people are talking about here. For this video, we're going to assume that Cooper Flag goes 1, Dylan Harper goes 2, and everyone else is still available. So Ace Bailey, obviously, VJ Edgecombe, and Kon Knueppel, I believe, are probably the 3 top prospects here for the number 3 pick. So let's go ahead and get into a breakdown. Ace Bailey. So we know 6'7", 202 pounds, 7'1.5" wingspan. He's a freshman from Rutgers, averaged 19.4 points per game, 46% from the floor, 34.6% from 3. Assist numbers are not great, doesn't pass the ball a lot, but he did have 7.2 rebounds, 1.0 steals, 1.3 blocks, and 2 turnovers. So why do I think that Ace Bailey would be a good target for the Philadelphia 76ers? That's because he's giant, and he does have really good athleticism and really good shot-making ability. And I think that he gives you a little bit of leverage because on paper, he's a little similar to Paul George. Build, obviously not quite as big as Paul George, but as far as height, similar range. He's got some pretty impressive shot-making ability that could potentially, if he hits his ceiling, develop into a Paul George kind of player. Prime Paul George, not 2024 Paul George that was awful. So the value that I think he brings is offensive creation ability. I think that Ace is a guy that could play off Embiid pretty well, and he could play off of the guards. And in my opinion, I think that this fit could work really well for Ace Bailey. And the reason for that is because on Philadelphia's roster, we all know that Maxey, George, Embiid, McCain, those are the guys that are going to have the ball in their hands a lot. Especially when Embiid's healthy, we know how much the offense runs through him. And obviously Tyrese Maxey has established himself as one of the better guards in the NBA, so he's going to have the ball a lot. Paul George and McCain playing off of that. I like Ace going to a spot where he's not going to have the opportunity to throw up 400 million terrible shots every single game. I think at Rutgers, due to the lack of talent around him, Ace was just given the green light to just go, take some bad shots, didn't really have to pass the ball very well. And I think in a team like Philly, knowing that they have so many other offensive creators in, their top tier group, which so many may be an overstatement because there's 4 of them, but I think it would be a good spot for Ace to learn and develop, and it's not a team that he would be given the opportunity to throw up those terrible shots. So to me, good fit, good shot creation, and seeing as how poorly Paul George's season last year went, I think that having Ace Bailey gives you someone in that same player archetype that can throw up those tough shots, make some of them, good size, and if Paul George ends up fading away, they end up trading him, or he just plays out his contract and doesn't give you a ton of value, which from the looks of what we saw last year is very possible, then I think Ace Bailey is a good option to have there to potentially plug into that starting 4 spot. So that's why I think Ace Bailey got to be mentioned here as a potential option, and for a lot of people's big boards, Ace will be the number 1 player available with the number 3 pick. Option number 2 is going to be VJ Edgecombe, the freshman from Baylor. 6'4", 193 pounds, 6'7.5" wingspan, 15 points a game, 43.6% from the floor, 34% from 3, 3.2 assists, 5.6 rebounds. Pay attention to the steals. 2.1 steals per game, 0.6 blocks, 1.9 turnovers. This guy just seems like a type of player that Daryl Morey would want to draft. And why? It's because I think VJ Edgecombe is set up to be an elite role player right off the jump in the NBA. The guy just has so many skills outside of scoring that are so valuable. And in my opinion, that's exactly what Philly needs. He can go and play really tough defense. He's an incredible athlete, probably the best athlete in the draft. I mean, insane level athleticism. You're going to see in some of these clips. He can get out and absolutely fly down the court in transition. He is so fast with the ball in his hands or without the ball in his hands. Plays good defense, makes those intangible plays, and I think this is a guy, when we talk about the stats with how bad they've struggled at the rim, this is a guy that can help with that. Even though he's only 6'4", he's kind of an Anthony Edwards level athlete, which is, I know, crazy statement, but watch the clips. This guy is a peak level athlete. He's going to be able to get downhill, he's going to be able to dunk on people, and he's going to be able to finish at the rim. That speed, man, they need it. They need it bad, because when we looked at that Philly roster, their wing depth is Kelly Oubre. They don't have anything. So a guy like this can come in, make a big impact from the jump, and if Philly can get their top tier guys healthy, this guy can plug in so well with everything. Can you imagine him and Maxey together, just how quick that duo is? I mean, McCain's fast too. Like, this is a team that desperately needs athletes, and this guy's an athlete, and I do believe that the offense has potential. I mean, the shooting percentage wasn't bad from 3. I think that can develop. I don't really see VJ being a on-ball creator kind of player, but I do think he can hit those spot-up threes. I think that he has this amazing ability to get open off the ball. He can just cut. He can go back door. Maxey can hit him. McCain can hit him. And this is a guy that's just going to add value, and he's going to be able to play well with everybody else on the roster. Love the fit. I think that this might be our most realistic option here, because we saw with Houston, Daryl Morey likes adding players that can complement the stars on the team. And when you add a guy like Ace Bailey, that's a little complicated, because Ace wants to be a star. He projects to either be a star or potentially a bust. I think VJ has potential to develop into a really, really good player, but I think at his floor, he's just a valuable role player who can come in and contribute, and I love it. I mean, I love it. I think that a lot of Philly fans need to take a look at this guy. As exciting as drafting Ace Bailey may be, VJ Edgecombe may be a better option for your current roster, and I think that the potential's there for him to develop into something special, but right now, Philadelphia needs to capitalize on this window. I'm not sure what Paul George is going to be next year. I don't really think anybody is, but we do know that Joel Embiid, when he's healthy, is a great player. That's a big disclaimer because he's not healthy very often, but adding a guy like VJ Edgecombe immediately improves your roster. He immediately helps all the other guys around him, and I think that's why Philadelphia has to consider him with the number 3 pick. Option number 3 is is going to be Kon Knueppel, the 6'5" freshman wing from Duke, weighed in at 219 pounds, 6'6.25" wingspan. He averaged 14.4 points per game. Shooting percentages here are fantastic. Almost 48% from the floor, 40.6% from three, 2.7 assists, which he's a good passer. Check out some of these clips. 4 rebounds, 1 steal, 0.2 blocks, 1.4 turnovers. So why Kon Knueppel? This guy is an absolute sniper. Great shooting ability, and he is a guy that doesn't ever have to have the ball in his hands, but when he does, he can add value. He's a guy that you're going to see in these clips. Good passer. He's good at finding his teammates. Threw a lot of lobs to Maluach this year, and I think that he's a little bit better with the ball in his hands than people give him credit for. But on a team like Philadelphia, where he's not going to have the opportunity to handle the ball very much, I think he's going to fit perfect if they end up going this direction. And why? It's because this dude shot over 40% from three, and he took quite a few every single game. We all know how valuable shooting is in the NBA, especially at those wing spots. And that's why I think a guy like Kon Knueppel is a little undervalued in this draft. And I think that it is not crazy at all that we could see this guy go with the number 3 pick. The same way I talked about VJ Edgecombe being able to add value to the star players on the Sixers roster, this guy can add value in a different way, but through his shooting ability. He can play off ball. He's going to be an elite level spot up shooter. I think he can knock down those corner threes. He can sit out there and camp, let the guards get downhill, kick it to him on the wing, kick it to him in the corner, and he's going to knock it down. And that's super valuable. He's got the size to get his shot off over tall defenders. A guy like this is someone that every single team in the NBA would love to have on their roster, because these teams desperately need size and they desperately need offensive creation ability and shooting. And Kon Knueppel, like I said, I think he's a little better with the ball in his hands than people expect. On a team like Philly, with the guards that they have, wouldn't have the ball in his hands a ton. But I don't think that this guy is Duncan Robinson. I think that when they swing the ball to him, he's got a little more to his game where it's not just a three or pass off. I think that he's going to be able to drive past people. Not the best athlete in the world, but he's not a terrible athlete. And I think that his vision for his teammates is really, really good. And I think that this is a guy that will be able to hit Embiid on lobs and will be able to find him in the post a lot, and will be able to make the right passes to the guards and set up other guys for open threes. That offensive ability is really exciting. And I think for a team like Philadelphia that we saw just struggled offensively last year really, really bad, and adding a guy like this is going to help immediately. You can never have enough shooting in the NBA. So I think that when we look at a guy like VJ Edgecombe, he brings a lot of intangible skills on both sides of the ball that are going to be really helpful. For Kon Knueppel, it's mostly offense. I mean, I don't think that this guy's going to be locking people up on defense, but that skill set that he has is rare, and I think he's an elite level shooter. I think he can add value to Philly's roster immediately, and I think it's a guy that they have to consider with the number 3 pick. Is this a long shot? Maybe. I don't think that a lot of people are talking about Kon Knueppel going this high in the draft, but I think that when we look at what he provides and the value that that could bring to Philadelphia, we have to consider it. So that's why Kon Knueppel is my number 3 option for the Philadelphia 76ers with the 3rd pick. Okay, last, we're going to look at my dark horse candidate for the Sixers with the 3rd pick, and that's Khaman Maluach, the freshman center from Duke. This guy is an absolute monster. 7'75" without shoes on. This dude is massive. 252 pounds, 7'6.75" wingspan. I mean, the size is insane. 8.6 points per game. He shot 71% from the floor, 25% from three, 0.5 assists, 6.6 rebounds, 0.9 steals, 1.3 blocks, 0.8 turnovers. So why would Philly consider Maluach? Well, I think it's because of all the concerns we've seen with Embiid and how he misses so many games. And last year, when Embiid was out, we were seeing Andre Drummond and Bona playing a ton of minutes for the Sixers, which is pretty rough. And I think when we project of how healthy Embiid's going to be next season, which we don't know how much he's going to be available, obviously this is something we go through every year with Embiid, having a decent center that can come in and just play the 5, I mean, give them anything is going to be valuable for the Sixers. And a guy like Maluach, his skill set's very limited, but he's a legit lob threat. He can move his feet really well. Great rim protector, 1.3 blocks per game. And I think this dude is still really, really raw and has a lot of room to grow. I think that his conditioning needs to improve. And despite how many blocks per game he averaged at Duke, I think that he has room to grow as a paint protector. And that's because he jumped at a lot of pump fakes. He got himself in foul trouble quite a bit. I think this guy just has to realize that he is one of the biggest guys on the floor at all times. He just needs to stand there, put his arms up in the air, and guys are going to be scared to go after him. He doesn't have to go for a block every time. He just needs to use his body to protect the rim. And I think that this guy has the potential to grow into one of the better starting centers in the NBA. Now, he did hit a couple threes. You'll see a couple of those clips here. I don't think that he's going to be a three-point threat in the NBA. He could develop one. I mean, we've seen it with Brook Lopez that it's not impossible for a guy that's a non-shooter to become a shooter. But how many other guys have we seen summer workouts of, hey, Andre Drummond's hitting threes in practice, and it just doesn't happen. So with Maluach, I don't really see three-point shooting being something that's a major threat for him really at any point in his career. But 71% from the floor in college. This dude can finish around the rim, and I love his ability to set incredible screens, which would be really valuable for Philly's guards. Him coming up, he can just crack the defender. Maxey can go off of that and get downhill. We all know how fast Maxey is, and coming off of Maluach screens, I think there's, a lot of open buckets there for Maxey, a lot of open buckets for McCain, and I think that those guys will be able to hit Maluach on the roll. And his foot speed, considering his size, is pretty good. I mean, he can hit that roll really fast. He can get up in the air, go finish the lob, and when they get it to him around the rim, he can finish over people. So I think that Maluach has to be considered as a dark horse. Like I said, I'm not really sure if this is something that's actually possible, especially at the third pick. If Philly would trade back a couple spots, maybe a team really likes Ace Bailey and doesn't want to lose the opportunity to draft him, they trade up and Philly can move back in the lottery. Maybe this is a more realistic target. But when I was looking at the dark horses, I didn't see a ton of other guys that were great fits for Philly at 3. Trey Johnson obviously is a really high regarded prospect, but I don't think adding another scoring guard to this roster is really valuable. And Maluach can just plug in and be a starting 5 when Embiid's out, and he can play his role. He can set screens, get downhill, protect the paint, and I think that would add value. So he's got to be mentioned here. Dark horse candidate for Philly at the number 3 pick. Who's Philly going to go with at the 3rd pick in the draft? My prediction is I think they're going to go with VJ Edgecombe. I think the fit is fantastic. I think that this guy's going to add value right off the jump. And like I said earlier in that section of the video, Daryl Morey loves these kind of players. And I think that the athleticism, the defensive ability, and just the off-ball creation of being able to get downhill, put pressure on the rim, of all these guys, I think VJ can add the most value to the 76ers. But let me know what you guys think. Do you agree with me? Do you think VJ is the best prospect here? Or would you guys go with Ace Bailey and just go with the upside? Or maybe Knueppel, maybe Maluach, or maybe someone that I didn't mention in this video? Make sure you drop a comment down below. Hit that subscribe button. I'm going to be back with more content soon. And check out some of my recent videos. My Spurs number 2 draft pick video. Same format as this, just talking about who they might draft with their pick. Giannis trade options video, and I just dropped a video a couple days ago showcasing the most underrated prospects in this draft. So if you're looking for a little insight on 3 players that you might not know about in the draft, a couple guys that are projected to be late 1st round, guy that's projected to be top of the 2nd, go ahead and check out that video. But thank you guys for watching. Like I said, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. More content coming soon. Appreciate you guys. Have a great day.